Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's head-to-head, it's a Kolsch Style Showdown. The Kolsch style is one of my favorite summer styles of ale. If you're unfamiliar with the style, Kolsch Style Ales originated in Cologne, Germany, and you can kind of think of them as a hybrid style ale, meaning that they use ale yeast, but they're finished in colder temperatures, something like what you would expect from a lager. And that's what gives a Kolsch its signature crisp body and clean finish. Now what I've got today is a selection of Kolsch style ales from around the state, and I'm going to go through these 5 beers, talk about what's similar, talk about what's different, and pick my favorite of this batch. Doesn't mean any of them are good or any of them are worse than any others, but I'm going to pick my favorite. And first, I'd like to thank my executive producers, Eric Latowski, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, and Zach for helping to bring this video to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.com/draft_therapy, where you can get early access to these videos, exclusive patron-only live streams, and a few other special perks available only to patrons. So, I'm going to go from left to right. I'm going to say what these beers are. This is Eastern Market Brewing Company's Wonderboi Kolsch. We have Drafting Table's Kolsch. We have Witch's Hat 3-Kord Kolsch. We have Oddside Citra Kolch. And we have the newcomer. This is the newcomer. This is Brew Detroit Shiny Dog Kolsch. So, we're going to go through, if you haven't seen a head-to-head before, what I do is I crack these open, I take a sniff, I pour each one, and then I kind of drink them and I talk about them. So, we're going to start with me rearranging all these. And then we're going to start with Wonderboi Kolsch from Eastern Market Brewing Company. All Kolsches are great because they're low ABV generally. So that means you can kind of drink a few and enjoy it. So I've actually had this one before. I had this last year, but this is a 5% ABV Kolsch. It is Wonderboi Kolsch. It hops, they tell you all the good stuff about this. And so I'm not going to read a whole bunch about it. This was canned fairly recently. And we're just going to go ahead and get into this, because if we talk about the labels and we go through all this stuff, it's going to take forever. So, I'm a busy man. I got people to see and things to do and whatnot. So let's pour this one. And it comes out really clear, as you can expect. I'm using all these smaller glasses because this is a lot of beer to drink. Very clear, very crisp, very light, very yellow. It has a really nice color to it, not much of a head. I wasn't able to get super aggressive because there's still quite a bit in this can. But if we hold it up to the light, that's just a little bit murky, not really murky, but a little bit hazy, a little bit unfiltered, but it's got a nice stream of carbonation, white head, pretty clear. And it has that kind of crispness, that honey kind of crisp smell that you would expect. Honestly, it smells a lot like a lager, like a Pilsner. And what I'll do is, as I go down the line, I'm going to just kind of scoot these over, but I'll bring them back because in order for you to be able to see everything, it's going to be tough if I got them all crunched up in the center here. So next, is Kolsch, a German-style ale from Drafting Table Brewing Company. Drafting Table is in Wixom, Michigan. If I didn't mention before, Eastern Market Brewing Company is in Detroit. So, I'm going to crack this and put a nose on it. This one has a little bit of a hoppier aroma than the Wonderboi did, but let's go ahead and pour it. And it actually looks a little bit lighter coming out of the can, collecting in the glass a little bit lighter yellow and a little bit more clear, a little bit more filtered. We got about a half a finger's worth of head, white head as we got from the last one. Holding up to the light, very clear, a little less murky. I'm just saying that it looks fairly clear though. It just has a little bit of an unfiltered kind of quality to it, and that could just be the light. It could be the coolness of the beer on the glass. And this one has a bit of a sweeter aroma to it. So that is Kolsch from Drafting Table. But again, it has that kind of Pilsner-y kind of smell to it. We are going to go with 3-Kord Kolsch, which I have had several times, from Witch's Hat Brewing Company in South Lyon, Michigan. This is Thrash Punk Kolsch, is a coffee-infused version of this Kolsch, and it is one of my favorite Kolsches of all time. So let's crack this one and put a nose on it. This one smells similar to the Drafting Table version. Let's go ahead and pour it now. Was able to get a little bit more aggressive on that one. We're getting about a full finger's worth of head on it. Very colorful label. And holding it up, it looks very much like the Drafting Table's version. It is fairly clear. It has a little bit of maybe unfiltered kind of sediment in there. This is, let's see, 5% alcohol by volume. So we have 5%, 4.8%, 5%. Has a nice honey kind of crispness to it. A lot of these, I'm gonna guess. I always, you heard that like saying about assuming things. I always think about that when I'm about to say assume. But yeah, I'm gonna guess that they're probably pretty close. Next, we're gonna go with Citra Kolch, and this is from Oddside Ales in Grand Haven, Michigan. This is 5.1% alcohol by volume. So whatever the drafting table ABV lost, Oddside's going to pick up a little bit for them. This is new this year. Again, I think I said Shiny Dog was the only newcomer. I think this one is new as well. I don't believe they did a Citra Kolch, Oddside that is, prior to this. It has a little bit of a different aroma to it. This one definitely smells a little bit different, has a bit of a kind of a spicier kind of note to it, and that I'm going to attribute that to it being a Citra style Kolsch. So this one might taste fairly different from the others. And we're going to set that down. Again, about a finger's worth of head, the same as the witch's hat. Again, white head. That's kind of a characteristic, as you can tell. These all going down the line look very, very similar. So we hold it up to the light. Same kind of coloration, same kind of golden color, same kind of just barely, unfiltered sediment kind of look to it. This one has a bit of a bit, not so much sweeter, but I was going to say a sweeter aroma, but it's got a different one. It's got a little bit more of a citrus aroma to it, hence Citra, the Citra hop that was added to this. And then we have Shiny Dog. Again, this is a new one from Brew Detroit. This is a Kolsch. Again, this one is 5.2%. So I think if we averaged all 5 of these out, we'd get about 5% on each one. Let's go ahead and crack this one. Again, this is out of Brew Detroit, in Detroit. Go figure. Put a nose on this one. This one has the most different aroma. It is a little bit different. I can't put my finger on what it is, though, the aroma difference. Pouring this, again, fairly clear. A little bit, actually, maybe the lightest of all so far. And again, about a finger. This one's about a finger and a half worth of head. Worth. What is a head worth? And holding it up, this is one of the clearest ones. Lighter, kind of a little bit more clear. Has maybe just a bit of a hoppier aroma. I can't put my finger on what the aroma is that's different, but it is a little bit hoppier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rearrange everything. I'm going to put the can in the front, the glass behind, just so for me that I know which is which. And this should make it a little bit easier for me when I'm grabbing for these to know which one I'm grabbing for and not going in front of everything. Again, we have Eastern Market's Wonderboy 5%. We have Drafting Table's Kolsch at 4.8%. We have Witch's Hat's Kolsch, 3-Kord Kolsch at 5%. Oddside Citra Kolch, that is a 5.1%. And we have Brew Detroit's Shiny Dog Kolsch, which is 5.2%. So let's start with Wonderboy. I'm going to take, now this is phase 2 of the head-to-head. Going to take a taste, let you know what I think about it, the taste that I'm getting out of it. Just really nice, refreshing, light beer, very crisp, has a very clean flavor to it, has a bit of a sweetness, like a honey sweetness. Tastes very much like something like a Pilsner, but a little bit fuller flavor, just a tiny bit fuller flavor. It has a bit more of a kind of biscuity, malty characteristic, has a bit of a little bit of a spicy note in there as well. We're going to move on to Drafting Table's Kolsch, simply named Kolsch. This one has even more of a kind of bready, biscuity kind of quality to it. More of a pronounced Pilsner-esque flavor. So yeah, they're very similar, but also very nuanced and subtly different. Now, 3-Kord Kolsch, excuse me, from Witch's Hat is one that, again, I've had several times before. When I go to Witch's Hat and I sit down and I have a few beers, Kolsch, 3-Kord Kolsch or Thrash Punk Kolsch is the one that I will usually like end my time with. That one, like I said, is coffee infused. I feel like the caffeine, if there's caffeine in it, kind of picks me up. So let's go ahead and try this one out. Of the three so far, Three Kord Kolsch is has like the sweetest, most subtle flavor. Really kind of easy drinking. Not a whole lot of flavor. Not a whole lot of that kind of Kolshy flavor. Not a whole lot of that honey flavor, but it is a little bit on the sweeter side. Of the three so far, this is the one that least resembles like a Pilsner, basically. So now we're going with Citra Kolch. Citra Kolch. I think this one's going to be probably the most different of all of them because of that Citra kind of variable that's been thrown in there. Mm. Yeah, it has all those kind of crackery, bready kind of qualities, and a little bit of a honey sweetness on it as well. But what you're getting on this, on the finish, is you're getting the Citra hop. Like that's what you're picking up. You're gonna get a little bit of a zesty, a bit of a zesty kind of, orangey, lemony kind of zesty, rindy kind of flavor. I mean, I can't really spell it out much better than that. I also feel like there's this bit of a spicier kind of note in there. And now for one that I haven't tried that I've wanted to try for quite a while is Shiny Dog Kolsch from Brew Detroit. Very different. So, and I'm going to explain what I mean when I say very different. So we have these first two. We have Wonderboy. We have Kolsch from Drafting Table. These are very similar. Like, you're just kind of splitting hairs. This is a hair splitting contest between most of these beers. You're getting just kind of splitting hairs. I think I said that the Drafting Table one is a little bit more biscuity. Then we get to the Three Kord Kolsch from Witch's Hat. That has a bit of it's a little bit lighter. It's got a little bit of a more subtle flavor, but it's a little bit sweeter. It has a little bit less of that kind of Kolshy quality, but it's got a little bit more of the sweetness. Then we get the Citra, which is kind of just a different animal altogether because it's got that Citra hop infused. It is a little bit more, has a little bit more of a spicy note to it that I can't really put my finger on, but it has all the kind of characteristics of a Citra hop. So you're getting that kind of citrus bitterness to it, that zesty peel kind of bitterness, citrus bitterness. And then we come to Shiny Dog, which is, I keep wanting to call it Shiny Boy for some reason, but I know it's Shiny Dog. So when I just kind of glanced at the back of this one, it actually says German-inspired ale, accents of stone fruit and herbal spice. Now, I don't know if I pick up stone fruit necessarily. It does have this little slight fruity quality. Now, I don't know if I would necessarily call it stone fruit. When I think of a stone fruit, I think of something like a peach. Maybe something, and maybe a peach isn't so much what they mean by stone fruit, but I get like a bit of an unripened peach, but I definitely, on the finish, on the tail, I definitely get that kind of, there's an odd, not odd in a bad way, but odd in a different way, kind of herbal, definitely an herbal kind of quality in there. So let me go down real quick. I'll drink through these and I will this is going to be a really tough head to head because these are all very good, but they're all very similar, but they're all different in their own kind of ways. So let's start with Wonderboy. It's just much lighter than Shiny Dog. It just kind of is a total like palate cleanser from Shiny Dog to Wonderboy. They're both like dog inspired, so that's what's kind of crazy about it. But it's just they're on like almost different ends of the spectrum, and I'm gonna try the Three Kord Kolsch and then Shiny Dog. Yeah, they're definitely like in the same family, but they are probably like cousins, right? They're not necessarily like, twins or anything. Whereas these two, I feel like they could be brother and sister or younger brother, older brother. I don't know which one would be which. This one kind of feels like it's a little bit of maybe a cousin, Yeah, probably. These two feel like they're a bit like cousins, and this one feels like it's, you know, an uncle from a different marriage. It's good, but it's just different. Like when I think of a Kolsch, I don't think of these flavors. And that's not a bad thing. That's probably pretty good because if you know, it's nice that you could pick up at least these three beers and say, okay, these are Kolsch's. They profess to be Kolsch's, and you know they taste very similar. Like as I said, this one's like what I would expect from a Kolsch. This one's very similar, maybe a little bit more bready, a little bit more biscuity than we get here. It's a little bit sweeter, but it's still, you know, very similar on that kind of Kolsch tip. And then we get to the Citra Kolch, right? And that has those citra hop qualities, that zesty citrus quality. And then we come to Shiny Dog, and it's like, yeah, this is a Kolsch, but it has that different twist on it that just kind of changes the conversation, and it kind of, you know, it's like unexpected, but still very good. So, man, I am here, and I'm supposed to. This is a head-to-head, and I already said that's what this is. So it's gonna be me coming down to picking. If I had to pick one that I could, only one that I could drink and I could continue to drink, and if someone said these five Kolsches, four of them are going to disappear, Thanos is going to snap his fingers, and instead of half of them disappearing, four of them are going to disappear. Man, that's a tough decision. I mean, I think if I had to just pick one, I would go with three Kord Kolsch from Witch's Hat. This is just a beer that I've had so many times, and it's like it's a go-to for the Kolsch style. I love having this beer, and not to say I don't love these other ones, but this is the one that I would have to pick just because I feel like it kind of embodies, or what I look for the most. It has that really kind of extra push of sweetness. The pilsnery kind of quality is a little bit more subdued, and not that I don't like that flavor, but I just it's different enough from a Pilsner that I don't really consider it to be like that. Um, if I had to pick a number two, if I'm going traditional, I think I'm going to go Wonderboy. But I think that all these beers are very good. They just have their own kind of place. I feel like these two, actually these three are probably, if you're looking for a traditional Kolsch, you could almost interchange these. If you weren't trying them one by, you know, back to back to back on each other, you probably wouldn't notice that they're very different. Now, when you jump into Citra Kolch, it tastes like a traditional Kolsch, but it tastes like a traditional Kolsch that someone kind of, they added that Citra hop to. When you go to Shiny Dog, it tastes like a Kolsch style ale, but it tastes like something that they wanted to go a little bit different. They didn't want to, you know, jump in line behind everybody else. They wanted to, you know, forge their own path on that Kolsch front. So I would say if you're looking for traditional Kolsch, you're at the bottle shop or the beer store, or, you know, Meyer or Kroger, if they carry all this stuff, that'd be pretty cool. Kroger, but the one by me doesn't carry that. So if you're going to a bottle shop or something and you're looking for a Kolsch or a summer kind of crusher beer that's a little bit heavier than, you know, maybe your regular crusher, you can't go wrong with any of these three. If you're looking for a Kolsch that, if you are a Kolsch aficionado and you want to just try something a little bit different, I would say you go with these two. If you're looking for something that kind of goes a little bit more towards the pale ale kind of tip, not a pale ale, of course, but, you know, kind of going towards that, you're going to want to pick this. If you want something that you've never had a Kolsch like this before, you love Kolsch, you love the honey kind of flavor, you love the crisp, clean flavors, but you want something just a little bit different, then I think you're going to go for Shiny Dog from Brew Detroit. All right, friends, that has been my summer Kolsch ale showdown, at least between these five. Do you have a favorite Kolsch style ale, or is there maybe another style of showdown you'd like to see? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer twice a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays is all for free for viewers just like you, as long as you're on YouTube, and you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. I got 5 different ones here right now. And most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.